Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with this week's video. I'm going to do the pros first. This is 2018 week 11 of the NFL. Some decent games, games like Oakland and Arizona, it's just, it's too unpredictable because they're both terrible teams. So kind of hard. If Josh Rosen was there a little longer, maybe you could take Arizona. But at this point, you move on to it. So let's go with Dallas and Atlanta. You get a little more feel, a little more trends on it. I got Atlanta laying 3.5, roughly. This could be 3 or 4. I look for the best spread. And over under a 47.5. Let me just see if that's still, let's see if it's still cooking at that. This is the Vegas Insider lines, and you get 7 or 8 casinos. So I got Atlanta laying 3 and 3.5 at 48.5 now. 48, and there's a 49. If you want to go over, you go to the 48. If you want to go under, you go to the 49. So at this point, let's look at the game. Let's break it down. We know Sean Lee's always injured, so he's out. I don't know what you do with that guy. Atlanta, let's see. Ricardo Allen's, he's on IR. Well, he's been out for a while. Freeman's been out for a while, the running back. Not a whole lot of new injuries that happened in November. Mohamed Sanu, he's day to day, but I'm sure he'll play. Nothing major. Let's look at Dallas. Again, this is as of today, but things changed. Amari Cooper neck is day to day, so if it was a real severe injury, he'd be IR'd. Sean Lee is the hamstring. He's come back in December, and that's really it. Nothing major in the injuries. Let's look at the trends for 2018. Now you got Dallas here as a road dog. Atlanta is a home favorite. Dallas 4-1 as a road dog, 7-2 overall this year if you take them. 4-1 and 7-2 if you bet against them. So they play a lot of close games on the road. Atlanta 4-1 as a home favorite, 5-4 overall. Against as a home favorite, 5-0, 8-1 against overall. So Atlanta is not very good for some reason. Their defense looked crappy against Cleveland. Where did their offense go against Cleveland? I think it's part of it is the running game is just non-existent. I saw they had the ball at the 1 yard line, which would have made it a very close game at the end. This is, I think, in the third quarter, and they couldn't punch it in. It was like unbelievable. But anyway, Atlanta seems to be a team you bet against this year. So let's go back to 17-18. Dallas 4-2 is a road dog. They were not road dogs very much last year. They were road favorites a lot. They were 6-1 as a road favorite. 4-2 is the road dog. 5-1 bet against is the road dog. So they only played as a road dog one time in 17. Atlanta 9-4 is a home favorite. 18-9 overall, 67%. So you're adding 6 points to it, and you're still only 67% with Atlanta. You bet against Atlanta 10-3, 77%. 22-5, 81%. So you can see Atlanta is like bet against. Here's the one. Atlanta as a road favorite is 8-0 against. So when they go on the road and they're favored, look out. There's a few teams like that when they're road favorites, they just choke. Tennessee's one of them. Pittsburgh's one of them. Jacksonville, you know, those are just to name a few, and that's to 17 and 18. And how many teams are road favorite a lot? Green Bay's one of those also that's terrible as a road favorite. Let's go back to 16. This will be our last year. Dallas 7-3 as a road dog, 70%. 9-2 as a road favorite. So they're 16-5 on the road. That's not too bad. They're a lousy home favorite, Dallas, and they're not a good home dog either. 6-4 against as a road dog. So you can see they're pretty good as a road dog. 7-3. They're not in like San Diego 13-1, Seattle 11-1, Baltimore 11-1. I mean, that's what you're looking for. Atlanta 16-6 is a home favorite, 34-12, 74%. That includes the Super Bowl year when they probably cover it every week. Bet against is a home favorite, 15-7, 68%. So what I was saying is, like, people ask me for my locks, and people specifically buy my locks, and when they lose, they're almost in shock, like, how did you lose it? And you got to understand, I'm taking, my lock is San Diego at 13-1 as a road dog. Seattle 11-1 as a road dog. Bet against Denver 11-1 as a road dog. Bet against Cleveland 20-0 as a road dog. You've got to understand, that's why I've locked against Cleveland 5-6 weeks here with the better teams. The Pittsburgh, the Kansas Cities, San Diego. So there's been several locks against Cleveland on the road, and this is why they're 20-0 against. So when it does lose, it happens. Excuse me. So, I mean, they do lose, but the theory and the thought process is I'm taking 90% trends. And I'm taking a team that's 13-1 as a road dog, or 20-0 as against as a road dog. That's the lock. I don't know what else you would look for. I mean, you look for injuries. You look for, does the team need it? Is the team hot? That's what you're looking for. So, yeah, I'm shocked when I lose a lock also, but it does happen. A lot of it's timing. It's like poker, and I bring up poker a lot because it's the same thing. I'm looking at statistics. You got pocket aces. How are you not shocked when you lose with pocket aces? Of course. It's the same thing here. I'm getting pocket aces and I'm locking a game. And if it loses, it loses. But, you're scratching your head. Why did I make the play? And you see, it's a very good play. No, it's a 90% play. So, anyway, the problem with some weeks, you don't get it. You're not, there's no, San Diego's not the road dog. Baltimore's not the road dog. Cleveland's at home. Denver's at home. So you can't find it. That's why some weeks are better than others. When you got your matchup here, last week, okay, here's an example. Tampa Bay was 3-point favorite over Washington. I took Washington. You want to know why? Washington was 12-2 as a road dog. Now they're 13-2 as a road dog. Now, I don't love Washington enough to lock them, but I played them because they were 12-2 as a road dog. That's a perfect example of what is going on, and that's why you do it. I got a few conflicting trends this year, this week. The Philly-New Orleans game and the Minnesota-Chicago game, I'm like, you got trends both ways, and you don't know what to do with it. That's when you look at the game without a point spread and you go, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the score is going to be? You try to look at matchups. Chicago, Minnesota, like Chicago's looking really good. Minnesota starting to look better. They probably, let me take a quick look at that as far as injuries. Chicago, nobody. Kyle Long, who cares? And Khalil Mack played last week, so he's back. Let's look at Minnesota. And again, these are injuries posted today on this site. Minnesota, I think everybody's back. Only Collins, a tackle, who's been out since September, and Mike Hughes, a cornerback, who's been out since October. I never heard of those guys. Sendejo and all the other guys, they had the bye last week, are back. So now you're getting a real Minnesota defense, so look out there. So you got two healthy teams. It's hard over under. It's probably more of an over game because Minnesota's playing more of an over because of the injuries. But now I feel a lot more comfortable Minnesota, and they haven't been a road dog too often. They're only 6-2 as a road dog. But the head-to-head is where it's really tricky. Where is it? I got the wrong week. Basically, the favorites 12-2 in this series. Chicago's 7-0, the last 7 at home. The problem is Chicago's a 3-point favorite. What do you do with that? You can't take Chicago +3 in a teaser. I did see some 2.5s, so you could take Chicago +3.5. But then you got Minnesota you could get 9 with, which seems like a really good play. So again, that's where it gets tricky, is the double trend. You could take either team, and that kind of paralyzes you. So there's a lot of, I'm looking for the matchup, and I find it, and both teams have it. And now you scratch your head, and you're going, what do I do with it? All right, let's take a look at my statistical analysis of the points and the yards and the quarterbacks. A little bit more, a little different piece. What I'm noticing is I got to take this kind of secondary and probably more for the over-under, and more if I like a team, how strong is the defense? Because what I've noticed in my 40 years of doing this is the upsets usually happen because of the team with a really good defense can beat a team with a really good offense. And what happens? The reason the better team loses is because they throw interceptions, they turn the ball over. So if you have the better defense and you run the ball and short pass them with a great defense, you're going to win. That's what you've seen, like the Giants, right, with Lawrence Taylor. They ran the ball. They said, we're not going to beat ourselves. We got Lawrence Taylor, and the Giants' defense would win the games. The Ravens' defense would win the games without a quarterback because basically you couldn't move on them. So the really explosive offenses will get beaten by a really strong defense. And that's, so what you're looking for is the really explosive offense playing a really weak defense. And that's what these numbers now show me, because what they do is when the team switches, like a Minnesota or Philadelphia or somebody like that, you get a better barometer on, oh, wait a minute, Minnesota's now an over because their defense gives up 30. Well, I don't know. Let's see. That's what it was earlier this year. Here it is. Minnesota scores 25 a game, gives up 23. It was higher, the defense, so they're getting better. And now they're getting people healthy, and they're in a playoff type of run mentality now. As you get into November, December, now it's who needs the game for the playoffs to get first place in the division. So it ends up much more focused by the better teams. You get better games. You get games that you can, you have more confidence in that they're not going to be flat. Like Pittsburgh tying Cleveland week 1, if Pitt played at Cleveland now, they'd kick their butts. So it's just a matter of when you get them. So let's look at this. So we're looking at Dallas, Atlanta. There's Atlanta. They score 27 a game, but they give up 28. Atlanta does not have a very good defense. Now, if you don't look at the stat, you might think Atlanta's got a better defense than it does. You got the Seattle defensive coordinator as their head coach. I don't know who their defensive coordinator is, but he's terrible. He gave Cleveland all these yards last week, was ridiculous. So Atlanta's not going to stop you, but they're going to score, and at home they're going to score. So 27-28. That tells me you're going to get some points in the game. We look at Dallas. Boy, Dallas is really down there. They score 20 a game and give up 19. So here you go. You've got this really strong defensive team, Dallas, giving up 19 against a real strong offensive team, Atlanta, who scores 27. The key to the game is Dallas scores 20 and Atlanta gives up 28. That's the key to the game. That's the side, that's the key. Can Dallas put up more than the 20, or can their defense hold Atlanta down to the 20 where you're able to take the dog? So we've seen Dallas is a strong road dog. Atlanta is a terrible bet against this year. 8-0. Every game this year you bet against, you win. So you have teams going in different directions. I'm surprised Dallas only scores 20 a game. A little bit of it has been their schedule. They've had to play Seattle. They've had to play Washington, who's a very good defensive team. Look, Washington only gives up 19 a game. But I bet nobody knew that, because if you're not looking at this, you don't know that Washington, you think's an offensive team, is a very good defensive team. You know Tennessee's a good defensive team. But here you're looking at Dallas scoring 20, giving up 19. Baltimore gives up 18. Houston gives up 20. San Diego only gives up 21. And Cleveland and Chicago only gives up 19. And then you got like New Orleans gives up 26. Carolina. Now here's the surprise team to me. Carolina with that defense gives up 26 a game. So you think Carolina's this under team because they got a great defense. Not anymore. They score 27. They give up 26. So that's all the theory and logic that I'm using, which gets me, how do I play the game? I'm looking to play against a weak defensive team. And I use this for over-unders, but I like using it for the bet. In this situation, I think Dallas scores more than 20 against a weak Atlanta defense. And Dallas can score. They got a decent quarterback. They got Zeke Elliott. The receivers are weak at best. Hopefully they're getting better. Mari Cooper is a typical Alabama guy who sucks in the pros. He's good in college because of the system. Just terrible. So I don't know how much he'll help. I don't know how good he is if Oakland gave up on him, and Oakland's terrible. Anyway, so that's what you have. So you have a under team in Dallas with a very strong defense, which we know, who gets after the quarterback. Atlanta couldn't do anything against Cleveland. Cleveland's defense gives up 26 a game. And Atlanta couldn't do anything against that defense. They're not going to do anything against Dallas. So is the right team favored here? I say no, but it is because they're in Atlanta. I don't know how much that gives me. Let's look at the offense then. Atlanta throws for 337 a game. They only run for 89. That's their problem. They need to run for $120. The top team looks like the Rams. No, I am wrong. Seattle. Seattle runs for 152 a game. The Rams are 144. Then you've got, let's see, Atlanta now, total offense 427. So they move up and down the field, but they're scoring 27. So they're going to score a little, but not against a tough defense like Dallas. What does Dallas do? They throw for 214. They run for 133. That's a very balanced attack in the NFL. 347 yards is a little bit low. They should pass for about 250. Let's see, your good teams. Oh my God, Tampa throws for 375. Where did that come from? Even the Giants are 304 throwing the ball. Pitt 323. You'd expect them high. KC 315. And the Rams. Here's why the Rams are the best. 314 passing, 144 rushing, 459. And I think only Tampa has 467 yards. What is Tampa? See, they only, with all the yards, they're 26 a game, 26 points a game. New Orleans with 421 yards and only 295 passing, 37 points a game. They lead the league. Then it's KC, as you would expect, and then the Rams, Pittsburgh. Now here's the Bears at 30 a game. You don't expect that from the Bears. And this is why that Bear-Minnesota game is extremely difficult, because the Bears score 30 and give up 19, and it's hard to really. Now Minnie's been injured, so their defense is probably more of a 20 than a 23, and they're getting used to their quarterback Kirk Cousins at 25. Maybe they're at 27 now because they're getting more used to it. And again, this is a season average. Maybe you'll look at the last 3 or 4, but even that, it depends who they play. If Minnesota does this against, this is a very good benchmark game here. Chicago with this really good defense. Now here's Chicago last week. They gave up to the Lions 22. They beat them 34-22. I'm confident Minnesota will get at least 22 here. So I think that that's leaning more towards taking Minnesota. Anyway, but that's the other game. So here you got Dallas, strong defense. Again, they throw for 214, which is really low. But Prescott runs, and then they run Elliott for 133. So that's what you have. Let's look at the quarterbacks. We'll get a little better look. Matt Ryan, number 1 as far as yards per game, 335. 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Where was that last week? Matt Ryan. Yep, 337, number 1. Wow, 21 and 3. So where was it when you need it? You look at Dallas. You've got Dak Prescott way down, 214 a game, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not too bad, but really when you look at it, Russell Wilson has 21 touchdowns, Brady 26, even Flacco's got 21. Is that no? Philip Rivers got 21. Here's what you want. Philip Rivers, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Drew Brees, 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. This is why they're great quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, 21 and 3, outstanding. I'm wondering if it's correct, but it looks, wonderful. But where is he? I mean, I guess their defense is their cause of their concern. Well, let's look at the rookies real quick. Josh Allen, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. Josh Rosen, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. Sam Darnold, 11 touchdowns, 14 picks. And Matt Barkley, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Who was the other guy? There's 4, I think. Brock Osweiler, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Wow, playing like a superstar. And the last one is our buddy in Cleveland. Where is he? Baker Mayfield. 13 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 248 a game. So he's not bad. He's getting better. He's not throwing the interceptions. That's the problem. You can't bet on, like Buffalo and the Jets last week. I mean, if it was Allen against Darnell, I would have bet the thing under. You wouldn't have had 2 points in the game. But this is the problem with these guys. They're not ready. Baker Mayfield, maybe. But that's about it. And the rest of these guys are just not ready for it. And then you look at Mahomes. 31 touchdowns and 7 picks. See, that's when you're ready. When you get rid of the interceptions and you can move your team and score. Let's quickly look at the running backs. Now here's the big edge for Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott, 831 yards, 92 a game. Only Todd Gurley, 988 a game, is ahead of him. And again, he's got 1 game in hand. That's why I look at yards per game and not yards, because 10 versus 9 is not the same. Let's look at Atlanta. Their running back's been injured. Who they have? Tevin Coleman, 442 yards, 49 a game. And that is Atlanta's problem. If you ever listen to these guys on the radio or on TV, they're so wrong, it's unbelievable. But the key is, you've got to have balance. You've got to score in the red zone. You've got to get 3rd and 1 to keep the drive going, to keep your defense rested. Those are the keys to the game. How many times do you see 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 3, and they're throwing the ball? And a lot of times it's blocked, it's incomplete, they didn't do it, they put pressure on them. Now that's almost as bad as these idiots running the ball right up the middle thinking they're going to score, get a 1st down. I mean, I love that play. Let's hand it off right up the middle and wonder why we don't get it. They can't read defenses. It's amazing how bad the offensive coordinators are and how bad the quarterbacks are at finding. You got 3rd and 2 at the 2-yard line. You've got to find the weakness. right? And if they don't know how to find the weakness in the pros, there's a problem, especially with the offensive coordinators. So if you got 5 guys in the middle at the center, you don't run the ball up the middle. If you got guys coming off the edge, you got to block them. You can't let them come off the edge and tackle your guys. So, I mean, it's just unbelievably how stupid these guys are. You've got to attack the weak. I like the off-tackle plays because everybody's inside. If you kind of get a little bit to the outside, but at the tackle level, that seems to be the best. That little angle, it's really hard for the defense to get. That's my point. I've seen that play very successful. Little sweeps to traps work extremely well. Anyway, so that's how Teaserking would do it. All right. So with all that said, I can't really go over because I got an over team playing an under team, right? I got a team that scores 27 points a game, gives up 28 over. I got a team that scores 20, gives up 19 under. What do you do in this situation? I'm going to take the dog here in Dallas because I like the defense here. I think that I don't see Atlanta blowing Dallas out. Go to Dallas. They beat Philadelphia last week in Philly, 27-20, so they have no problem going on the road. Philly's defense. Now here's one thing that I really love to do. Philly's a 22 offense, 20 defense. So in the game, Dallas scores 27 on a team that gives up 20 a game. Means they scored, so their offense is getting better than a 20. So I'm looking for them to get 27 against Atlanta, who gives up 28. They give up 8 more points. So Dallas should not have a problem getting 27. They should keep Atlanta down a little bit because they have a 19 defense. They only give up 19 points a game. And that's all you look at. You don't look at time of possession. You don't look at turnovers. You don't look at anything. It's how many points do they score and how many points do they let up. That's it. If Dallas gives up 19, that tells you they got a great defense. You don't really have to read it. College is a little bit more running, passing. You got Army, you got Navy, you got Georgia Tech, who just runs it every time. So if you get a matchup against a team that can't stop the run, that's when you bet the running team. Or the same thing with the passing team. If they can't stop the pass against a real good pass offense. And that's what I'm looking for a lot in college is the weak defenses against the explosive offense. And when I get it, a.k.a. Utah State over Hawaii a few weeks ago, that was one lock, and they won by 50 points. So that's what you're looking for. The pros, it's a little bit more, I want to bet a good quarterback with a good defense. And preferably a balanced attack like Dallas with Prescott, with Elliott, with a good defense. How does Atlanta defend them, right? If they come out and there's 7 in the box, they're going to run Elliott. If there's 8 in the box, they're going to throw. So, I think Dallas is getting more comfortable with the new receivers, although I still don't think they're very good. They're getting better. They scored 27 at Philly. So that gives me a lot of confidence that Dallas will score. So the bottom line here is take Dallas plus 9.5 in the teaser. The over-under is out. I mean, 48.5, 49. You're going to score that against Dallas's 19 defense? Now, Dallas will score 27. Like, if you look at the Philly game, it was 47. And Philly's a 22-20. So you got a 2019 playing a 22-20, and they got the 47. So, yeah, you could play it. You could probably tease the over-under either way and probably get a win. The score will probably be in the 40s. Both teams will probably score in the 20s. That puts you in the 40s. So with the 48.5, 42, probably gets there. 54 under probably gets there. But I don't love either one. I have a lot going this week with an over-under in the pros. So that's what I like. Anyway, so there you go. Take Atlanta at 9. this is a there's 4 or 5 strong games in the pros. Again, you got the buys, so that kills you on 3 or 4 teams you're betting on or against. And then you got your Oakland, Arizona games, which you're not touching. Tonight, Green Bay, Seattle. First blush, I would take Green Bay, but when you look at them on the road, they're terrible. They've lost every game on the road. Washington, Detroit, the Rams, New England. I can't trust them. It's all about probability of outcome. And you can't feel comfortable taking Green Bay as a road dog because they don't play good on the road. They're a very good home favorite. They're a lousy road dog. They're a worse road favorite. Seattle at home, very strong, very balanced, good defense. Yeah, Rodgers will do his thing. It'll probably be a close game, but at first blush, when you look at Green Bay as a road dog, when you look at the trends, you can't take them. Now, do you ignore the trends is the question. You just say, Green Bay at 9, that should be a good bet. That's how you get burned. You take it, and then after you go, why did I take Green Bay at 9? The trends are not taking Green Bay there. They're not really good for Seattle as a home favorite either. I mean, Seattle 1-1 as a home favorite this year. Seattle's 8-1 against the number. Green Bay's 5-4 against the number and 7-2 against. 3-0 against as a road dog. Seattle 1-1. I can go back to 17. And Seattle's 4-5 as a home favorite. They're 9-0 as a road dog. So this is why I do this little thing. So it tells me Seattle on the road is super strong. It's a road dog. They're 9-0. And a home favorite, they're 4-5. You bet against them 7-2. Green Bay 5-4 as a road dog. Bet against them 6-3. According to this, you can't. You bet against Seattle as a home favorite, but Green Bay is such a terrible road dog, you can't take them. That's why I don't play certain games. This game gives me nothing to play. If I was in Vegas and I wanted to bet $5 to watch the game, I would take Green Bay at 9. I can't even go over or under on the game because, well, let's look at the points. Green Bay 25-24, so their defense is pretty good. Their offense pretty good. Seattle 24-21. They're more of a under team. Green Bay, I don't know what Green Bay is. They're not really an over team because their defense gives up 24 and they only score 25. It's not like they're scoring 30. Yes, they got Aaron Rodgers. They got a bunch of new receivers except for Devontae Adams. So this is the problem with teams like that. You want either really bad teams, a.k.a. the Giants, a.k.a. Oakland, Buffalo, or you want the Chicagos, the San Diegos, the New Orleans, the Kansas Cities, the Rams. So that's where you're at and this is why some weeks it's like I only have 4 or 5 strong games between the buys, so I can't play my teams if they don't play, and then you factor in these middle teams that you have no idea with, and then you factor in it's Thursday night, so Green Bay is flying to the West Coast on a short week, which can't help them. So you've got all this going on, and you just go, I can't predict this. I can predict a lot. Like I said, if you put a gun to my head, I would take Green Bay at 9, but I wouldn't like it, and I wouldn't bet more than $5 on it. But it's really not a good game to pick. That's the problem. The problem I'm hearing from customers and gamblers, well, who do you like here? Who would you take here? See, betting football, I'm going to give you a quick lesson because I want to help. People don't get that. They need to understand it. It's like playing poker. Do you play 3 of diamonds, 8 of clubs? Do you ever play that? I hope not. Only if you're big blind and everybody's checked to you, do you going to play it. So my point is, you've got to be patient in football. You've got to wait for your game, and you might only have, from my analytical looking at picking the game, I might only have 4 or 5 picks. That's it. I might not have a lock. I might have one lock, but I might not have the second lock. So I'm looking for reasons to bet, but I can't find them, so I got to let the games go. So some weeks I run the table. I go 10-0 because I found 10 games that met my qualifications. Some weeks I can't. I might force a couple of plays because I want to have games for my customers to pet, but I might only have 5 games. And they might not be Ace King of Hearts or Pocket Kings or Pocket Queens. They might be Pocket Set, like here, the Green Bay Seattle game. Well, I got to put something out there. I won't do that. I'm only putting games that I am comfortable that I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet. Would I bet them in a 5-team teaser? And if the answer is no, then I'm not giving out that game. So I'm giving out very good games that meet my qualifications. But some weeks are better than others, and that's what you've got to understand. So you've got to be patient. I'm a very patient poker player. I do not play 3-8 offsuit. I do not play 4-9 offsuit. I don't play King Deuce offsuit. Because if I pair my king, I'm screwed. The flop comes king. I got a 2 kicker. What good is it? And if I get the 2, now what good is it? I'm beat by every pair in the world. So I don't play those hands. I don't bet those games in football either. I don't bet on Buffalo and Arizona for all the team in China. But what I am good at is determining who's the Buffalo and Arizona each year. That's what these trends show me, and that's what these stats show me. It shows me Buffalo's the worst. Buffalo was a playoff team a year or 2 ago. They played Jacksonville. They get rid of Tyrod Taylor for Josh Allen for what God knows reason. God knows why Tyrod Taylor was in the league. He sucked at Virginia Tech. How he got drafted is beyond me. He's terrible. Josh Allen's terrible. Shouldn't even be in the league. They got him in. He gets sacked all the time. He throws all these interceptions. What do you see in this guy that you're paying him all this money and you got him as your quarterback and he's sucked in Wyoming? I'm like, what are you doing? Well, he's got a strong arm. He can't read a blitz. He gets blitzed all the time and he throws a lot of interceptions. I don't care how strong your arm is. If that's what you do, you're useless. You're not a good quarterback. A good quarterback, I mentioned. That fell into, who was my good quarterback? Aaron Rodgers, 17 touchdowns, 1 pick. Drew Brees, 21 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's a good quarterback. So that's my point with that. Anyway, all my picks have to meet my criteria. All my picks, if they meet it and they're good and they're a good road dog, but I can't get that every week because Seattle's a home favorite this week. If the game was in Green Bay, it would still be a hard pick because Green Bay is a strong home favorite. Seattle's a strong road dog. You want Seattle at Oakland. Getting points. That's the lock. That's the lock. When you get a Seattle, when you get a San Diego against an average team, what did I do? I told you, go back to my video. San Diego at Cleveland. Who was favored? San Diego -1, went to Cleveland -1.5. What did I do? I locked San Diego getting the 7.5 because they're 14-1 as a road dog, and Cleveland is a weak team anyway, but it's certainly a weak home favorite. There's no way in hell they're going to kill San Diego. That's the lock. So if you can get the strong team in the right situation against the weak team, but you don't get it every week, and you look for it, and some weeks the teams are not in their right situation, and you got to let it go. But that's where I'm patient. I'm looking for the situation. I have everything here. I got the situation. Home dog, home favorite. How are you? I go back 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years. I go back to 2007, and if I want to, I can go back to 1999. But I think it's a little, except for Tom Brady, it's a little irrelevant. That's when you got too much data and it gets mismatched. If I go back to 07, here, I'll do a quick 07. What do you got? Since 07 is basically 220 games. And Chicago, 36-7 is a home dog, 84%. That's meaningful. Pitt is a home dog, 12-1. San Diego is a road dog, 51-9, 85%. 16-4 is a home dog. So anytime Seattle's a dog, it's a great play. It's an 82-83% play. That's my point. So I could use that. Cleveland is a bet against road dog, Since 2007, 71-14, 84%. I mean, there you go. That's where you bet. That's where you lock. And especially against, now here's a strange one. Washington is a home favorite. Bet against 41-8, 84% since 2007. Unfreaking believable. Green Bay is a road favorite. Bet against 47-9, 84%. That's my point. Carolina 23-5. Bet against as a road favorite. You got them like that this week. And Pitt 48-14. Bet against road favorite 77%. That's why I warn about the road favorites. Very few teams. Let me see if there's anybody with a bet on road favorite that's any good. Chicago actually is 19-4. Not a lot of numbers. Indy's 36-8, 82% as a road favorite. And Kansas City 21-4 as a road favorite. So Kansas City is a team, if they are better than you, they beat you. Only in the regular season. When you get in the playoffs, they're generally going to be road dogs, and they'll never be a road favorite in the playoffs. This is why they always lose in the playoffs. So there's 1, 2, I got 3 teams at 80% as a road favorite, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 teams bet against as a road favorite over 80%. Anyway, I could go all the way back to 07. So I just wanted to teach a little bit because I find that, I'm hearing, oh, well, I lost. What do I do? Well, what do you do in poker? I mean, this is investing. What do you do in a stock? What do you do if you buy Coca-Cola and the stock drops 3 points? What do you do? I mean, it's all relative. You bet what you can afford. You make it per unit. You got a $5,000 bankroll. You're betting a percentage of the bankroll. And you're going to bet. It loses sometimes, right? I'm not going to go 100%. Trying to go about 75%. And I usually do about that per pick. But then I'm so involved, I put the pick in 3 teasers. So it's really hard to figure the percentage out. But as long as my bets that are bigger win, it washes out the little bets. I can win 1 big one and lose 2 little ones, and I'm up. So really the percentage is a little bit hard to understand with the way I do it. It's really more the units, and it's winning the bigger unit games. But that's what you're doing. So I tell people, I never let one game beat me. I bet what I can, as I get up, I'm up this year, I bet a little bit what I can afford. The units I show are just bet the game stronger. So if you bet $10 a unit and I give you a lock, then bet $50 on it. And if you normally bet $30 or $20 or 100, if you bet 100 a game, you bet 500 on the lock, but you only bet it if your bankroll is 5,000 and you can afford to lose the 5, and over time we're going to win. So it's just, I lost 1-5, but then I won a 5. Everybody forgets the winners, and then they bet too much, and then it loses, and they're like, oh, I'm down. And you're like, how are you down? We got all these winners. You get one loser, like, what are you doing? So I find most people are having trouble, not most people, but people have trouble, like, building the bankroll. That's what I tell people. You make 5,000, 10,000. As you go up, you bet your units a little bit stronger, so your $100 bet becomes $150. But it's what you can afford to lose. It's part of your bankroll. That's what you're doing here. It's not. This is investing. This is gambling. What do you do in poker? You get pocket aces. You make a big bet, and the guy flops trips on you. So what do you leave the poker table because you lost with pocket aces, a big pot? And if you can't afford it, then you don't bet the pocket aces too strong. Or you bet it small, and if the guy check raises you, you just fold because obviously he flopped a set or 2 pair, unless he's a really big bluffer and you know him, and he's going to bluff you. But normally if you show a big pair by pre-flop betting, and the flop comes and he checks to you, and then you make a bet, he knows you've got a big hand, so he's not really going to bluff you. It's more, I flopped a set, I'm raising you, I'm check raising you, because I know you got a big hand, so you're not going to fold, I got you, ha ha. And I read the check raise as you flopped a set and I fold, even though I got aces. I know I'm beat, because nobody's check raising me when I'm making a big pre-flop bet, and then I make a big flat on the flop when you checked. And then you raise, you check raise, you're telling me I flopped a set. So that's the point. You've got to build your bankroll and bet small. I lost the bet. It's not a big deal. I still got my bankroll. That's how you have to do this. And it's the whole season. One thing I don't like is people judge me on one game or 1 week. And I'm like, dude, it's the same thing. It's 80%. Means 20% lose. And you've got to look at it like that, and you've got to look at the whole, look at a big, I like when people buy my monthly package, because then you can see me for 4 weeks, not one. And if it's 1 week where I don't have, I got the Seattles at home, and they're a lousy home favorite, and the Green Bays is road dogs. I want to show them the week when Seattle's the road dog, when Kansas City's the road favorite, when San Diego's the road dog. Then come watch me and buy my picks. But don't, when there's really not a lot out there, or, nothing really strong, you can't, well, he lost, okay. He doesn't know what he's doing. You can't look at 1 week. Just like a stock, you can't look at a stock on 1 day. It goes down, and you're like, oh, this stock's terrible. If you can't, you've got to understand investing. You've got to understand gambling. You're predicting. And the only way is with trend analysis, looking at history, looking at matchups. This seems like a good bet at the time based on this trend and these statistics and the history. They need the game. The team's got injuries. And that's what you're doing. And if it loses, it loses. Was it a good bet? Yeah, okay. You made the bet. You thought it was a good bet. It lost. Nothing's guaranteed, and you move on to the next bet. And over time, we're going to have more winners than losers, because I perfected this system in the 1980s. So I've been using this for a long time, and therefore it works. And I make a lot of money on my own bet. And when I lose a pick, it's my money I'm losing also. I've lost money, right? So, be prudent of that. I'm not happy when the bet loses either. But I know how to bet, so it doesn't kill me to lose the bet. It's just, okay, we lost, here's the next bet. It's almost like a jump shooter. I've missed 10 in a row. I keep shooting because I know I'm a good shooter, and that's what it is. So I found probably 5 or 6 games here. The Chicago Mini one's a little tough because I like both teams. Green Bay, Seattle, I don't like either team. So you get games like that, but that's where we are. Anyway, just trying to educate everybody. I hope you don't mind. That it's not personal. It's just, this is business. Let's make money at it. All right, everybody. www.teaserking.com. I have one lock going in the pros. I might lock something else. I'm still studying, and I like to feel, does it feel right? Is this, I'm looking weak against strong always. Going after a weak defense is what I like to do. I did hit a good lock last week. The Fresno State-Boise game was 54. I locked it under 60. And the amazing part was the spread went to 56. Who the hell's betting over in a Boise State-Fresno State game when they have Fresno State's got one of the top defenses in the country, and then Boise's not far behind them. And the spread's going up, and I'm like, what am I missing here? It's in Boise. And, of course, it was 24-17, 41. I'm under 60. I win by a mile, and I'm like, so when people say Vegas is always right and they know what they're doing and the money knows, it's bullshit. Vegas does not know what they're doing, and the money, Vegas is really, really bizarre right now. They jump lines 2-3 points. You think money's being bet, but it isn't. They're just moving a line without the bets. I don't know what the hell they're doing. It makes absolutely zero sense. I ignore it. I do what I do. That's why I'm successful. I don't listen to these idiots on TV or the radio or watch Vegas's line go from 4 to 6 if I like the 6, I'll take the 12. I'll take the dog if that's the case. All right, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Always, I've lowered the yearly if you want. The monthlies are out there for $250 for 4 weeks. And I have the weeklies at 100 pro, 75 college, 77 teasers for locks, 135 for everything. So please feel free, and feel free to ask questions. You can just email me on the site, www.teaserking.com. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.